Hi, folks. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to the PagerDuty Twitch channel. I'm Mandy Walls, a DevOps advocate here at PagerDuty, and this is one of our partner streams. Today, we are joined by Jack Zhu from Arize AI. Jack, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mandy. Thank you for having us.
So tell us about yourself and tell us about what you're going to tell us about today.
Sure. So my name's Jack, and I'm a product manager at Arize AI. We're an ML Observability software company. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what is ML Observability and how does Arize help users solve this problem, and why we integrated with PagerDuty. And then after the presentation, I'm going to do a quick demo of how we use PagerDuty to alert or customers, and how we can use Arize to debug ML issues.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Cool. So I can jump into the presentation right now. Let me just share my screen.
There we go.
Great. So first of all, just want to plug Arize really quick. So users can sign up for a free account by going to arize.com/join. We also have a community Slack channel, arize-ai.slack.com. So please join and feel free to look around through our product. So again, my name is Jack. I'm a product manager at Arize. And today we're going to be talking about ML observability. So what does ML observability mean? We think it means that it's software that helps teams automatically monitor AI, understand how to fix it when it's broken, and improve data and models. So I think a lot of ML practitioners know that it's hard to take a model from research into production. So maybe you have to rewrite the model, the data has to be validated, there might just be some broken scripts or broken ETLs. But maybe what a lot of people don't think about is that after the model is in production, there are also lots of challenges. Features can change. This means that the performance of the model can start to drift. There might be a regression for a certain cohort of customers. And usually what this means in the end is that a data scientist has to download some data, put it into a Jupyter notebook, and then manually debug. So this is a very painful process. And why is this important? We can kind of see that today, every company is sort of an AI company. So there are some obvious examples of, tech companies that use ML or AI, but there are lots of, even 100-year-old companies that use AI in many parts of their businesses. So in the last 5 years, we've seen a lot of improvements in the industry, a lot of advancements on the machine learning pipelines part of ML. So you can kind of see that there's a lot of thought spent on data preparation, model training, and getting the model to deployment. And unfortunately, we think that there's only about 1% of thought spent on what happens after production. And this leads to a lot of challenges. So sometimes issues can take days or weeks to resolve. This usually leads to business impact. It slows the team velocity. And in the end, what it really means is that customer trust in a company can be eroded by ML issues. And we've kind of identified some unifying themes around all these challenges. So we see that often they can be caused by things like model and data drift, when the inputs to the model start to change from the inputs that the model was trained on. There's issues with model interpretability, so kind of helping users understand what features are important for their predictions, but not only the feature, but what values of those features have the biggest impact on the model. There are data quality issues, there's performance degradation, fairness and bias issues is starting to become a very big and prominent issue that people are starting to think about, and model readiness. But you don't need to take our word for it. we surveyed over 1,000 companies, and 84% of the companies that we surveyed says that it takes them over a week to detect and fix the model issue. 51% want more capabilities to monitor for these issues, and once they detect them, be able to debug these issues. And worst of all, 54% of executives say that they can't really quantify the ROI of their AI projects. So Arize is here to kind of focus on this last mile, and that's this last mile. Right now, people are using these tools that are not exactly built for ML observability. So they use notebooks, maybe they use Airflow, and Arize is here to be a tool that is specifically focused on ML observability. And this is where PagerDuty comes in. So, PagerDuty is obviously a very powerful tool for alerting and incident response. And with Arize, you can use Arize to monitor your models by proactively identifying data quality, drift, and performance issues, and use PagerDuty to alert the right person. And this helps our customers streamline their on-call process and notify the right person quickly. And in the end, with both Arize and PagerDuty, users can root cause and resolve their issues more quickly. So, why do we integrate with PagerDuty? And maybe this is obvious to many of the viewers of this stream, but PagerDuty is used by many of our customers, and it's a very well understood product. Obviously, PagerDuty has a very rich incident management flows. And this gives customers a lot of flexibility in building out different flows for their teams. And we can provide PagerDuty via the API, rich metadata on the incident. And this helps users, know how to triage and resolve their model issues very quickly. So with, no further ado, we want to get into the demo.
Yeah, let's take a look.
So I have here, this is the Arize platform, and this is what we call the model overview page. So here we have a demo model. And again, if you sign up for a free account, these demo models are already loaded into your account. So this one is a pretty straightforward one. It's a fraud use case model. So this is a model that predicts whether a transaction is fraudulent or not.
Okay.
And you can see here, there's the traffic that the model, or that we're receiving from the model. And you can see this line below is accuracy. So let's just play out a scenario where, right now the accuracy is hovering around 63%, 75%. And let's just say that, I'm a data scientist and our manager is like, 75% is not good enough. It's too low. And, you need to start setting up some monitors around this. So we are notified, let's say when the accuracy goes below 80%, and I want you to figure out, what's going on here. So let's go to the monitors tab. So I already created a monitor for this example, but it's showing green because our threshold is 60%. So right now our accuracy is around 70%. So this monitor thinks that, yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to, oh, wait, sorry. Before I set this up, let me set up the integration with PagerDuty. And I can do that through the model configuration. So down here under integrations, I can see that I can add an integration with PagerDuty. And here I can use the simple install flow. It's much simpler than the manual setup where I have to copy some API keys. So I'll click that. And I'm going to log in to our PagerDuty instance. And so, users are probably familiar with this, but I love this UI because, it allows any user, even someone who's not very familiar with setting up PagerDuty, to set up an integration.
Yeah.
And this really gives end users a lot of kind of flexibility. Often we can think of the end user of our platform as a data scientist, but PagerDuty is more familiar to maybe some of the engineers that set up their platform. So there's a little bit of mismatch. This UI really helps our data scientists get to this integration much quicker. So here I'm going to just use my test account, and I'm going to connect that. Okay, so I can see my integration here, and okay. You know what? I'm going to make this a critical integration. So I can change the severity here, I can save, and I can even test the integration. And you can see here, I already got the test integration. And this allows users to build flows if they want to around the alert without actually having to change some threshold and actually trigger a real alert. All of this data is in the format that you should expect from a real alert.
Oh, excellent.
So I'm just going to resolve that. And so now I have my integration, and I can set that integration on all of my monitors. So this is just a quick way to make sure that my model is entirely monitored and alerted by PagerDuty. So I'm going to set that here, and I'm going to click save. So when I go to my performance monitor, I can see, oh, this is a custom monitor, but I can see that I have this PagerDuty option, so I can individually customize which monitor receives which alerts. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna save that change. And so I have PagerDuty as the alert, but let's say that, again, the scenarios that my boss is like, it needs to be at least 80%. So right now the threshold is at 0.6 or 60%. So let me change this. And when I change that, you can see, okay, yeah, the recent performance and is below the threshold. And let me just save that.
That change is slick. Like your entire UI turned red. Because like historically, your all your data is not meeting the threshold. That's clever.
Yeah, exactly. And this helps users kind of troubleshoot. So right now I'm looking at the last 3 days. I can look at the last week, and I can look at the history of the metric and see how that threshold change would have affected previous incidents, for example.
Oh, that's nice.
I'll keep last week. And okay, so you can see here that I triggered my actual alert. So the accuracy is below threshold 0.8. And remember, that's the threshold that we just set. And you can also see the current metric value. So 0.69, that's right here. You can see the model name, and then you can see the URL. So this will take you back to that monitor. Okay, so now we're alerted to performance degradations, but the next step is, okay, what do we do about it? And we have this way to troubleshoot the model performance here. So this will take you to the model performance page. And, again, we're not looking at a specific time range, but in general, why is performance sometimes below 0.8? So let me just select this time range here, which will help zoom into an expected range. And down here, we have performance insights in our performance breakdown. So I like to start with performance insights because it gives me a very quick view of what feature and even what value that feature is dragging the performance down. So again, this is a transaction fraud model. And you can imagine that, when the transaction is processed, the transaction processor has many, many pieces of information. Maybe they have the FICO score, the state, what is the risk score of the merchant that's processed or accepting the transaction. But let's just look at state. So here we can zoom in on a feature that we've ranked as the most impactful towards a degradation in performance. And not only what feature, but what value. So we can see here that California has the most impact on performance. So we can dive into that a little bit more by going to the feature details page. And this is where we can compare the distribution. So when we look at the performance of a model, we often have a baseline, and this is what we call drift. We have a baseline, which is a period of time that the user believes that the model has good performance.
Okay.
And then there's the current distribution, which is the distribution we're looking at now. So often users set the baseline as their training data because hopefully the user is training their model on good data. And then they want to compare, how does this training data look like the current data that the model is seeing? And you can see here that there is a pretty big difference in the distribution. So, the current distribution, about 40, I don't know if you can see this, but about 48% of transactions are in California. But compared to the training data, about 60% of the data is in California. So this is something that the user, usually data scientists, can look at and think, okay, maybe the transaction distribution has changed since I trained the model. And maybe what that means for me is that I need to go back and train the model on more recent data, where that more recent data maybe has less transactions in California and maybe more transactions in New York. So this is a flow that users can use in order to get down to exactly what pieces of their data they maybe need to take another look at and potentially need to retrain their model on. And one last thing, if this is something that they think could happen again in the future, which, is always possible, they can also add a monitor here. And this automatically configures a threshold to make sure that this kind of distribution mismatch doesn't happen again. So that's it. That's our demo. I'm going to go back to our slide for our free account, or we can also have a conversation about ML observability and our integration with PagerDuty.
Yeah, absolutely. So for folks who are watching at home, thanks for joining today. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat on Twitch and we'll relay them through. So I do have a couple of things, as you're kind of going through this, the sort of the operationalization of machine learning, as you say, things are getting into production, and that seems like it's still there's still very much a learning curve on a lot of that stuff for production level loads. And so as you're working with customers, how are folks doing? It seems like it's a very new part of the industry.
Yeah, I think there's definitely two parts of it. I think one is convincing users that not only is ML observability important, but that there are tools now to get to these kind of analyses and debugging that they're usually comfortable doing, just in a Python notebook or on their own. So convincing them that they need it, and then two, I think convincing them that this is hard to build on their own. So there's definitely a lot of open source tools and application monitoring programs. So for example, Grafana is an example that's open source that people are probably pretty familiar with, and that's certainly something that you can use to chart the performance of the model. You can use it to alert when that performance exceeds a certain threshold, but it won't really get you into these debugging workflows that I just showed, where it really helps you not only know when something is going wrong, but exactly what's causing that to go wrong. And I think for our customers that have been using us for a while, they're starting to, kind of even figure out flows that we didn't even really think of at first. A lot of people use our dashboards to not only look at their model performance, but also how the model performance affects their business KPIs. And so this is even extending it a little bit past just specifically machine learning observability to a little bit more of a business observability that's driven by machine learning.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And like our user Blue Sky Cloud actually has a question in the chat, like do you specialize in specific industry? Like you showed a lot of logos in one of the earlier slides. Like this seems like it's something that is pretty broad across a lot of different industries and a lot of different businesses. Are you seeing things that are concentrated in the area? Are folks looking at user behavior with their models, or they're just anything is available now?
Yeah. We do have a very, very wide range of industries represented. And, that's actually something that's really interesting for me as a product manager. I get to talk to customers and I get to talk to a very wide variety of people's use cases. I think one way that we're thinking about the industry or the machine learning landscape is not so much by industry, but by model type. So, a fraud model type, or a fraud use case is, more of a structured model type where, the model predicts fraud, not fraud. But those types of models are, pretty prevalent now, but starting to become a smaller and smaller percentage of the overall ML landscape. And what I mean by that is that there are also a whole range of unstructured use cases. So, to those who are not familiar, unstructured could be like natural language processing. An example could be a chatbot that automatically responds to customer support requests. It could be image processing. So, we probably saw a lot of that when autonomous vehicles are still being developed, and that's a major use case of image processing. And so that's kind of how we're thinking about the industry. And our goal is to, support the entire breadth of anything that could be considered ML or AI.
Yeah, the possibilities are crazy. And like one of the things you did say when you're talking about the integration is like giving these same tools to folks who normally wouldn't be familiar with operational tools. Like they would be outside of the scope usually of the things that they're doing. So if you're used to working in a notebook or in one of the other platforms, like worrying about am I going to get paged about blah, blah, blah isn't necessarily part of your regular workday. So it's interesting to see the folks that are working on those things be more responsive or more concerned about the behaviors and the performance of their projects as they go into production.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Super interesting. So is there anything else you'd like to share with us today? I've put the sign up link in the chat for folks if you're interested in signing up for an account there, and or you can scan the QR code to join the Arize AI community there on Slack. So anybody has any other questions? So what's the like the coolest thing you've seen someone work on with this?
Coolest thing I've seen. Maybe this isn't cool for everyone else, but definitely the natural language processing capabilities that we recently unveiled. We have one of our prospective customers builds a chatbot they build a chatbot in Portuguese, and so I think a lot of NLP is focused around English and Chinese, but Portuguese is definitely hard to find. And what they want to use our platform for is they want to use our platform for retraining. So usually they train their model on a corpus of text, and it's able to respond pretty well to requests that fall within that training set. But of course, people are always going to ask chatbots questions or responses that are well outside this training set. And what they want to do is, and what we offer is an ability to visualize what kind of questions is this chatbot receiving that is well outside of its usual responses. And not only that, but be able to select those responses that are outside of their training set, download that data, and then use that data to retrain the model so that you're constantly expanding the set of data that the chatbot is trained on.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. That's super cool.
We're very excited.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, like getting all the new things that you want to learn and like reprocessing it back through the engines is like, oh yeah, how often do you do it? But if it's easy, you can just do it all the time. Yeah.
Exactly.
That makes them super slick. Absolutely. All right. Well, this is super exciting. I hope folks out there who have AI and ML workloads take a look at this and give us a shout out on our social media if you end up using it, and tell us what you think. And we want to hear all about what Arize is up to in the future. The integration is new, so you can check that out on pagerduty.com/integrations. You can search on the page there, and it'll be good to go. And you can set it up for your own accounts. So
great. Thank you so much, Mandy.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack, for being with us. Thank all of you out there for joining us today. This is the PagerDuty Twitch channel. If you're new to our channel, make sure you're following us here on Twitch. If you're viewing this on YouTube, or will be later, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel there as well. In the future, you can check us out on pagerduty.com/events or follow us on Twitter at PagerDuty to find out what else we're doing. So thank you all for joining us today. I wish everyone an uneventful day.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you never miss a stream. Follow us at PD Community and PagerDuty on twitch.tv. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you'd like to be on our stream, email us at community-team@pagerduty.com so we can feature the cool things you're doing. And don't forget, check out all of our global events on our calendar at pagerduty.com/events.